Hello and welcome to Sketch Card Saturday night. We're going to get started here in just a minute. Actually, let me go ahead and let me just get set up here. We'll get started here in a minute. There we go. I'm trying to bring up the live stream at the same time so I can see the chat. All right, there we go. All right, welcome to Sketch Cards Saturday night. And tonight we are going to be drawing Justice League Dark, including Swamp Thing, Constantine, Zatanna, Deadman, Etrigan, and of course, Batman. I'm going to try to get them all done, but I'm going for 6, and we'll see how many I can get through before it just, my hands stop working for a while. But I'm going to try to do the sketch, inks, and colors. Again, Swamp Thing, Constantine, Zatanna, Deadman, Etrigan, and Batman. There is some stuff available in the bin. But I'm going to say don't buy anything in the bin. Why? Because next week I am doing a portfolio purge. And I'm going to be discounting everything. Everything's for sale. So while I love the support, save yourself some money until the deals come. All right. So I've kind of sketched out some comps that I want to do for Swamp Thing, Constantine, Zatanna, Deadman, Etrigan, and Batman. And these are based on the animated show. And let's see how far we can get. Starting with Swamp Thing. And I'm going to do these all in landscape mode versus the portrait. Although I should probably do them in portrait mode. I rarely do portrait mode anymore. I just kind of like landscape mode a little bit better. So kind of my thing. Let's get started with some Swamp Thing. He's got a pretty awesome story. And I guess he's considered magical because of his affiliation with Justice League Dark anyway. He's a beast. And to kind of get the size right, one of the easiest tricks is to make the head much smaller than the body. And then that proportionally gives you the kind of scale to work off of. I've only read Swamp Thing. I think I've only ever read one issue of Swamp Thing. And then I've read a couple of issues of the Justice League Dark. And I've seen the animated Justice League Dark. But there are some really good Swamp Thing stories out there. And the writers and the artists that have been associated with it are fantastic. And I would like to do more Swamp Thing exploration into the comics, that is. I just haven't taken that initiative to get it done. And I think this is one of the reasons why I like doing these type of sketches in landscape mode is because I like showing that wideness of the shoulders and giving them some movement for their arms. Where if you go portrait, you're pretty much just getting a head sketch at that point. Now it can be a more detailed head sketch. And Swamp Thing has facial issues, right? Actually, I don't know if I've ever drawn Swamp Thing, to be honest. If I have, it wasn't a lot. That's for sure. If I've drawn Swamp Thing, it's only been as a commission. And to be honest, I don't ever remember being commissioned to draw Swamp Thing. So I'm kind of breaking some new ground here with this sketch, because I don't think I've ever drawn them. So I'm not 100% sure where I'm going to go with the sketch. He's got the weeds around him. Not weeds, vines. In the background, I should be playing Justice League Dark, but I'm actually playing the Batman because I just watched Justice League Dark to get the images for the sketches. So I'm not going to put it on again. Plus, I'd be tempted to change my comps at this point, and I don't want to do that. He's awfully muscular, which is a good thing. And he's a friend of the earth, right? But he's a little bit different than Poison Ivy. Not a lot, I don't think, but a little bit. And this is already turning out to be some fun. Because there's so much you can do with them. If there's any questions, feel free to ask questions. And I'm going to try to do 6 fairly quickly, but it really is just going to depend, right, on what I do. On this first one. All right, I like that. I think that's a good start. So that was a good quick sketch. Now we're going to do some quick inking, and then we'll let it sit, and then we'll color it. I'm going to say this is not a bad attempt for our first time drawing Swamp Thing. And I'm also going to say that already I feel like I need to do more. I feel like this was so inviting. I actually want to do more Swamp Thing already. Even though I've seen the comics, I've seen the movie, It wasn't until just now that I'm like, ooh, wow, I think I'd like to do more Swamp Thing. Maybe even when I'm doing some of these, I always ask myself, would I do a comic series, if DC asked me? If DC came and said, hey, we saw what you did on Swamp Thing, we'd like for you to work on a series, what would I say? And now I'm kind of thinking I'd be down for it. Whereas before, I'd be like, Swamp Thing, I don't know. I don't know a lot about him. And just this right here, I'm already thinking, yeah, this would be pretty cool. I could do some Swamp Thing for a couple of issues or a series. Not that they have asked me or even would, but I always like to have that in the back of my mind is would I do this if asked? Again, we're working Justice League Dark today, unless someone has a specific commission that they want to do. Other than that, I'm going to be doing Justice League Dark sketch cards. And I'm going to try to do 6, probably in record time for me, because I don't normally work that fast. But this is, I think I'm warmed up because I've been working on a comic book all day. So I'm normally, when I'm doing a show, it takes me a minute to get warmed up. Whereas now I've been working for hours on a comic book coming out next year in January, February, March, or April. I forget which one. And so I'm pretty warmed up already, pretty loose. So this is going by pretty fast. And I'm enjoying it. Like I said, I never drew Swamp Thing before. And I'm actually enjoying this a lot. Thank everybody for stopping by, checking me out. I do appreciate it. I'm going to throw in one more plug for the show next week, which will be the Portfolio Purge show, where I will be giving super discounted rates on everything in my portfolio. Fire sale, everything must go, right? I think he's looking kind of menacing. All right, I think that's pretty cool. I'm going to throw in some detail. Cross over some of the vines, make them stand out a little bit. I forget his real name. I'm going to have to look it up. Like I said, the story, I find it pretty interesting. And I do I don't know if he's been pretty popular lately. All right, I think that's pretty cool. Let's get rid of some of those pencil marks. Actually, we're going to let that dry for a second, and we're going to go over to Constantine while that dries, and then we'll come back and color it. So let's shoot over to Constantine. We're doing really good on time. Now, Constantine, I have drawn a couple of times. I always dig Constantine. He's a roguish kind of fellow. Always fun. Always seems to be like an anti-hero. I don't know what it is about him that I like, but I do like Constantine. And he's always a lot of fun. Are there any Justice League Dark fans out there? Thanks everybody for stopping by, even if it's just for a little while. I appreciate it. We're working Justice League Dark sketch cards today. Just sketched out Swamp Thing, letting them dry, and then we're going to color it up. And while that's drying, I'm going to sketch out Constantine here. I love Constantine because he's got the cool hair. Not that I'm super great at drawing cool hair, but I like the fact that he has cool hair. I, on the other hand, am bald. Bald by choice. I cut my hair off. Mainly because I'm probably too lazy to keep it done in any kind of certain way. That nose is wrong. Where's my eraser? So we'll fix that real quick. Give him a little snarky look. Big collar on the rain jacket, trench coat. And then, of course, we have the loose tie, his trademark, or one of his trademarks, I should say. I'm not really sure how I want the coat, so I'm kind of playing with it. But if his neck's here, the tie would be somewhere around here. We just had a little boom over in our neighborhood. Not sure what that was. I don't think there was there may have been a launch tonight. I live over near Cape Canaveral, NASA, and lately we've had so many launches I forget when they are, which is a good thing. That means the space program is a booming, and nothing's wrong with that. I don't like that mouth either. So I fixed the nose. Now I gotta fix the mouth. Yeah, I like that. Something like that. All right, I like that. So let's go ahead and ink this guy. Doing really good on time now. Like I said, I'm kind of warmed up, so I'm kind of flowing through these, which is not something I normally do. But I've been working on a personal project, a comic that's coming out next year. So I'm pretty warmed up. And that makes the art go by a heck of a lot faster. And I'm not trying to make him look like anybody in particular. Just trying to get something cool because Constantine is always cool, snarky, and cool. And I think I'm getting that vibe. I think I'm getting a good snarky but cool vibe off of this drawing. Open your eyes. I love I love that part of the Batman where Commissioner Gordon's like, open your eyes. Mm. Mm. There we go. That's my version of Constantine. And I'm digging it. I'm digging it. And I'm gonna add a little detail in here. Give them some layers to the hair. And I think that's about ready for color. And I'm gonna go ahead and let this one dry before I erase the pencil lines underneath. And we're gonna shoot over to Zatanna real quick. Also, someone that I think I've only drawn her one time. And I think it was because it was a commission. There are some characters that are a little obscure, and so I don't spend a lot of time drawing them unless they're requested. Otherwise, I sit there and I've got product just sitting there. She's got these cool bangs. You don't see a lot of people with bangs, especially on the hero side. So I kind of dig it that she's got the bangs and she's beautiful. I don't know if I should make her booby or not, but I want to make sure she's strong yet feminine. And one of the things I learned from Frank Cho by watching him do his thing is the actual body, whether it's male or female, a lot of times is pretty much the same. You know, you can start off with the basic anatomy, which doesn't change too much between male and female. And then you can feminize it from there. And a lot of times I think focusing on the gender versus the anatomy takes me out of having a good pose from the beginning. So I want to make sure I get the pose right first and then worry about the anatomy. and she's definitely magical. And I'm trying to remember how long it's been since I've drawn her. I know it's been a while, and I know it was a commission piece, but I'm thinking it was like 6 years ago, even. Like it's been a very long time. A very long time. That hand is a little off on the bottom. Yeah, would her hands be outstretched or closed? They'd be out. The fingers would be out. There we go. I like that. And then I can give her that nice hair as it flows down. Give her some cool eyebrows. Little button nose, little feminine nose, and then the lips. Want to make sure she's got some nice, inviting lips that says, "Hey, I'll jack you up, but I'm beautiful. Don't get it twisted. I'm still sexy." With this pencil, it's kind of hard to get that detail in there. So I'm just going to get some indication in there real quick so I can move on. Higher cheekbones, softer chin. She wears a choker. And then, of course, we have the boobs. And we'll give her, she's not like Power Girl booby, but she's attractive. So we want to give her some nice boobs. And she wears that almost like a corset or something like that. Again, thanks everybody for stopping by. We're working on Justice League Dark sketch cards tonight. We're going to try to do 6, and that'll be pencils, inks, and colors, and they will all be available for sale. All original art. Right now, I'm just kind of flushing out the composition I want for Zatanna. I always have to do a lot of underdrawing for the women because I want to make sure everything's correct. But when I do the inks, I don't ink everything because then they don't look feminine. They look more masculine. I don't want that. And we want to make sure she looks feminine yet powerful. And we'll give her a pretty decent cup size. Again, not Power Girl boobs, but full figure. All right, I like that. I think that's cool. We'll go ahead and ink that and get a sip of water. All right, we'll ink this one up, and then we'll start doing some erasing and coloring on the other 2, and then we'll still have 3 left to do. Again, I want to keep her soft but powerful. So I don't do all the lines that you see here. And I'm not going to use the marker in some of these places. I'm going to use a fine liner in the face to keep that sharp femininity. I like the way this one came out. Like I said, I think I've only done her one other time, and that was for commission. But I want to get more into Justice League Dark specifically. I don't know why, but lately I've just been on a thing with the Justice League Dark. Something about them has caught my fancy over the past couple of weeks. Part of it is one of my friends goes by the name of Cool as Heck, challenged me to do more stuff outside of the typical Batman Justice League stuff. And I was like, you're right, I should. And so I was doing a lot more X-Men, mutant type stuff. And then I was like, what could I do besides the typical Batman Rogues Gallery? And then I was like, Justice League Dark, I haven't done that. And so uh, I was familiar with them, not like I didn't know about them, but I was like, wow, you know what? It's really interesting story. So why shouldn't I do more of it? And as always, once again, thank everybody for stopping by. If you have questions, please let me know. If you have a special request, please let me know. And I'm going to do her face with a fine liner so that I can try to keep it feminine. I like these sketch cards too because they soak up the ink really quick and it's a lot less chance of me smudging. I am a smudger. I don't want that one. I am a heavy smudger. I smudge so many drawings, it's ridiculous. Um, I've gotten a little bit better at not smudging, but yeah, I smudge a lot. I smudge way too much. But that's why I love this paper I use for these sketch cards. It dries, it soaks up that ink so fast. It doesn't give me a lot of time to smudge, which is good for me. And I can tighten it up after I do some erasing. All right, and there's Zatanna. We are doing fantastic on time. So I'm going to keep this ball rolling. And next up is Dead Man, who's his real name is Boston. He was a acrobat of some type. I don't know his story very well either, but he's somebody I want to look at more into. And he's got spooky eyes. What song am I thinking about? Eyes. There's a song about eyes. She's got those something eyes. I can't think of what it is. He's got that big collar like Constantine too, almost like wizard collars. Dare I say it? Is there such thing as wizard collars? Ooh, that's not right. That's too high. He doesn't really have eyes in the typical fashions, in the typical sense. He's got sockets. And then in the middle of those sockets, he's got like an open spot. Is that look right? I think it does. I think that looks cool. Although I think he's got more of a dome head. He's bald. Sometimes it's harder to draw bald people because you're looking at just the cranium, the skull, and if it's not right, even though no one really people don't walk around with their skulls out, everybody knows what it looks like. So if it doesn't look right, it's obvious that it's not right. Like this nose is not right. There's a little off center. Much better, much better. All right, there we go. I'm pretty sure he's a muscular guy as well. He has his hamburger meat hanging out of his costume, his chesticles, and then he's got the big red cape, or not cape, but cape like. Cape like collar. I think I'll just vignette it out into the red. Making sure I get his chesticles in there. I think that's cool for Dead Man. Oh man, we're booking. I am. It really makes a difference when I start warmed up. Also, I think it helps that I'm doing some characters I'm somewhat familiar with. Even if I haven't drawn them very much, I kind of know what I want out of the picture. Where sometimes I'm not even sure what I'm going for. You know what I mean? It's like, what am I going for in the picture itself? And that just, but prior to this, I kind of worked out the composition. So I knew what I wanted. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I kind of knew, okay, I want this position, this angle, this whatever. And that makes it a lot easier. Because sometimes the creative process of just figuring it out is the hardest part, which is a good thing. You don't want the actual drawing to be the hard part. For some reason, I think I'm just going to go with a. I don't know if this was a good idea. I went with just a complete dark bottom lip. I don't know if I like it, but that's what I went with. So that's what it is. Again, there's stuff available in the bin, but I recommend you don't buy anything because next week I will be doing a portfolio purge. So everything is going to be on sale, super discounted, heavily discounted, not free. Because if I do giveaways, then I'm also paying the shipping. But I'm willing to give stuff away for $1 if you pay the shipping. How about that? I think that's a pretty good dead man. I can spruce it up with some color, but I think this captures. I think that captures him overall. Good trivia point. Both DC and Marvel have a character with a D on their chest: Daredevil and Deadman. All right. So that's 4. We're going to do Etrigan real quick. And he's a demon. Already, I know that head's too big. So, no sense in even going on with that. But he does have a more boxy head. He's got these weird ears. They're almost Finnish, meaning like fin. Wide nose, horns on the head. And his he's got a boxy kind of head. And actually, I'm going to make these horns a little bit bigger. We can give him some bigger horns. Again, I like to put in a lot of construction lines, even if I don't ink them all. It just helps me get the proportions proper. And I can always tell if something's not where I want it to be by putting in the lines like that is going to be too close. I need to push that over. Can you imagine what you would do if you had a demon on call? Just like at your beck and call, there's a demon, just like you could call upon and be like, dude, I need you to handle something for me. If you had that, would you do good or would you do whatever you wanted to do? Absolute power absolutely corrupts. That's the saying. It's not power corrupts. Absolute power absolutely corrupts. I'm going to put him in a cape. Almost like a hoodie. And then he has a little armor on his shoulders. And he's a big dude as well. He's not just a demon. He's a big demon. It's a big dude. I always think of that song. Every morning at the mine, you could see him arrive. He stood 6'6" and weighed 245, kind of broad at the shoulder. That's kind of what I think of when I think of people like Etrigan and Swamp Thing. I mean, if you got Etrigan and Swamp Thing on your side, that's pretty damn gone good, don't you think? All right. So there's Etrigan. And let's go ahead and ink him up real quick. I think he's got blank eyes, right? Yeah, he's got blank eyes. It seems like you lose your eyes when you go demonic. Is that a thing? You go demonic, you lose your eyes. It kind of seems to be a thing going on here. I never really paid attention to it before, but now that I'm doing this, I'm like, hey, I think if I had a demon on call, I think I would put up with a lot less crap. That's for sure. I don't know if that type of power would be the best in my hands, especially crossed with like Batman, Vengeance himself. Although Batman won't kill, so that might be why it works. Because I think Etrigan, in and of himself, doesn't care about killing. So I don't think that's a big deal for Etrigan. And dealing with the stuff they deal with, Justice League Dark, killing may be seen as not the same thing because of what they're dealing with. If you're dealing in the paranormal, is it really killing? And can you kill something that's already dead? That's another good question. If something or somebody is already dead, can you kill them again? Or do you just vanquish them back into the proper realm? And then coming up, last but not least, the man himself, the man of the hour, Batman, who's always the man of the hour. The answer is always Batman. When in doubt, the answer is Batman. At work, I do that. I used to do that a lot to my boss. He would go, "So we've got an issue." And I would just go, "Batman." And he goes, "What?" And I'd be like, "The answer is always Batman." And he'd just be like, "Brad, shut up." I'd be like, "I'm just saying, start with Batman and work backwards. You'll get the answer." So that is 5 cards in an hour, which I don't think I've ever done. In fact, I know I've never done that. I've never done 5 cards in an hour. All right. And let's go ahead and just finish up the the team with Batman. Now this one I draw Batman all the time, so I guess that's not a really big deal. And these sketches are based off of the movie poster, the animated movie poster for Justice League Dark. I don't know the artist that did the composition on this originally, but shout out to whoever the original artist is. And I'm not sure who designed this Batman, but I liked it. But I do like the chin piece on him. It's different, something you don't normally see. And I think it's kind of cool. One thing I would always wonder is, how he hears with his ears covered up like that. But in reality, he's got, enhanced hearing through the bat cow. So it's a good thing. I will have enhanced hearing soon because I'm going to have to get hearing aids. And then I will have the bat hearing once I get my hearing aids. I'll be on my way to being Batman. And the two things I love about Batman and the Hulk, they're always angry. Gotta love a hero who's always angry. It's like, whoa, dude, what'd I do to make you mad? I'm always mad. In one of the Sean Gordon Murphy Batman White Knight comics, he has a scene with a lot of Batman's victims gathered around a table talking. And it shows that while he may not kill, he maims a lot of victims. So, with that, is he really a hero if he's just jacking people up all the time? It's like, I don't kill. Yeah, but you put people in the hospital, knock their teeth out. The dental bills are crazy. The health plan that they're on doesn't cover everything. They're all cut up, stabbed, broken bones. Um, Mass rehabilitation for sure, right? And I can't remember what comic it was, but a lot of people don't know Batman used to use guns back when it was originally conceived. He used guns. A lot of people know that Thomas Wayne Batman and Flashpoint Batman used a gun but even Bruce Wayne and some of the original concepts used a gun, and he had guns on his vehicle, which you shoot enough bullets, somebody gets hit and killed, especially with some of the big guns that he uses. I'm not sure how this is going to. There we go. That's the way it should look. Again, we're doing Justice League Dark sketches tonight. We got the whole lineup sketched out. Most of them are inked, finishing up the Batman now. And then we're going to color these, and everything's available for sale. All right, there we go. So let's ink this one real quick, and then we can get to coloring. Batman is one of those characters that if you do it right, it looks really cool. If you do it wrong, it can still look good. And the simplicity of it makes it hard. Because you can, like, some of the best Batman drawings I've seen are all cape. And then it's like, how do you make that cool if it's just cape? How do you just make it cool? But I've seen some really cool drawings of just the cape, and I'm like, wow, that's badass. If you hear the screaming, that's the Riddler. I'm watching the Batman while I do this. And I'm going to go ahead and black out all of this. To me, that's the hardest part, is you're going to black out so much stuff drawing Batman. But the question becomes, which parts do you black out? Because if you black out everything, then you lose the depth, you lose the perspective. You lose the volume because everything gets flattened out. But if you don't block out enough, it just doesn't look as cool as it could. So I typically have a problem personally with how much I black out. And I like to start small and just build up, with how much I'm going to black out. And then the parts that you don't black out, do you go with the blue? Do you go with the gray? Um, what do you go with for the parts that you don't black out? But I've seen some drawings, especially from some of the people like Jock, where it's so much blacked out, and it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. I would like to get to that point where I can do that. Not there yet, but because I draw Batman so much, I know one day I'm going to be like, that's the drawing I was going for. I haven't hit that yet, but I know one day it's going to be like, that's the one. That's the one I was going for. I just got to keep at it, and it'll come to me. The other thing is the bat symbol. I think it would be cool to do a comic, and then they go, you can come up with a new symbol on the chest. Like, what? For real? Because I know that's probably one of the highlights for artists is to be able to design the symbol on the chest, because it'll go down in history automatically. It goes down in history. It's just the way it is. Um, if you look at the comics and the live action and the animated, there's some bat symbols that are very distinctive, and you look at them and you go, oh, I know exactly what that's from. I know what comic that's from. I know what movie that's from. I know what animation that's from, just based on the symbol on the chest. And I think it would be really cool to do Batman and be able to design your own bat symbol on the chest. I don't know what I would come up with. I have thought about it a little bit, but not a lot. I've thought about more about the actual Batmobile, how I would want to design a new Batmobile, and I put more thought into that. And I'm actually going to start designing Batmobiles as part of the whatnot streams that I do. I'm going to be showing some new Batmobile designs that I've come up with, and I think that'll be pretty cool. It'll be fun for me, even if nobody else likes it. And a lot of times, I don't base the streams or my art off of what other people might like. I base it off of what I want to do. Um, I don't even base it off what I think will sell. I just base it off what I think will be fun to do. And a large part of that is because if it doesn't sell, I still like having it in my arsenal. All right, so those sketches are all done. Let's get to some coloring. And this is we're killing it. We did 6 sketches in an hour and 15 minutes. We're going to start with Swamp Thing, and that's besides the convention. I don't think I've ever been this fast on doing sketches. So we're going to start with Swamp Thing, whose name I forget. And I've got my color cards here to make things easier for me. I finally finished them all. That's 360 colors. And just having them all out like this makes it a whole lot easier. Like I know I want the leaf green for him with some pine tree green are the 2 main colors I'm going to be going for. So that's a 440 and a 470. So I can pull those. Now the other thing I haven't done is organize my markers yet. So give me just a second to pull these. This is my pine tree green, which is going to be the darker green. Now, the one thing I don't like, I love the Ohuhu brand. The colors are extremely vibrant. However, there's the pine tree green, and the cap is just, it doesn't match. It's too bright. And so you can't use the cap alone to kind of figure out what you want to do. That's why it's important to do the cards and know what you're going to get into. Because if you just go with what's on the cap, it'll be very deceiving. I think one of the other things with Swamp Thing is a variety of greens. Keep him interesting. Whereas Poison Ivy, I can get away with maybe 2 or 3 different shades of green. With Swamp Thing, I think I want to use a few more. To just give him more depth. Again, I want to thank everybody for stopping by. We are doing Justice League Dark. And we have sketched them all out. And now we are just doing some coloring. And then I've never done 6 sketch cards on a show before. Just never done it. So this is the first. And I did them all starting with pencils, then inks, and now we're doing the color. So it's all captured on film for prosperity. When I look back, because I post these to YouTube, when I look back, I'll be like, wow, I remember. And when I did XYZ, and it'd be pretty cool memory for me. I don't make any money off of my postings, but I do like going back, one, seeing what maybe I used to do, and then two, seeing some progress that I've made. And I like the fact that Whatnot has that interface so that the two work together, YouTube and Whatnot, so that I can keep these recordings. Like I said, I want a bunch of different shades of green, since this is primarily the color we'll be working with here. And I may even throw in some browns. I don't know. Yeah, a brown might be a cool accent color to kind of pull some stuff together. Again, I love the vibrancy of the Ohuhu markers. They do not sponsor me, but I wouldn't care if they did, because I spend so much money on Ohuhu markers. I would love it if they would sponsor me. I would do definitely a lot more marker sketches. I've actually switched to gouache for some of my 9x12s just because it goes a lot further. Sorry, getting something to drink here. And I want something even darker for the face, because it's all the way in shadow under here. But I don't want it to be black. And I can even use this to draw out some highlights. under the eyes. Really frame those eyes. Yeah, I can dig it. I can dig that. And then he gets a bright yellow eye. And there's a good Swamp Thing. I do want to go with more of a gray tone for some of the shadow area. Do I have a... Let me see if this... See how this looks. Yeah, that's cool. Throw some definition in there. Get all those different shades of green. I like it. And background wise, I don't know what I'm going to do yet. So we're going to hold off on the background, probably a blue, but we'll do that later. So there's Swamp Thing. The background is just going to be a plain blue background. So once I do that, I'll throw it up for sale. So let's jump over to Constantine. And we're going to try to get the next 5 of these colored before 10:30. That'll be a 2-hour show. All right. He's got, I think he has brown hair, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check. Is he a blonde? He's not. He might be blondish. Brown jacket, light brown blonde hair. So let's see what we can get. Let's see. We'll start off with some skin tone. I forget what I'm looking for. I want like a... Once again, oh, there we go. Ooh, that wasn't dry. And we're gonna go with a blondish, yellowish hair, I guess. I don't know if he's really a blonde. So we're gonna go with not a full blonde. If I can find the color that I want. And hopefully it's enough contrast to the skin tone. Maybe, maybe not. I think so. And then we want to go with a brown coat. And a red tie. I don't know if it's red tie, but I kind of dig a red tie on Constantine, so I'm going to go with the red tie. What a crimson. I think that'll be nice. That'll give it that pop. He's got the white shirt. So we're going to go with cool gray. Just so it's not just the white of the paper sitting there. And by doing that, later on, if I want to put a white highlight on there, it'll show up. And a nice jacket, say like wow, I don't know. I'm picking a lot of colors that are really close to each other. I don't know how that's going to work out for me. Again, I am colorblind, so what may not seem like a lot of contrast to me may actually be a lot of contrast to other people. Because I have had that comment from people before. I go, man, that doesn't look like a lot of contrast. And they go, yeah, it is. And I go, really? They go, yeah. I go, okay. Now, if this was as a sketch card, I don't do as much detailing out as I could. If this was a 9x12 full sketch, it'd be a lot more color variation, a lot more detail in the materials and the face, but it would also be a higher price point. And really the point of the sketch cards are to for me anyway, to have a low price option for people to enjoy some original artwork. I do these on a 4x6 versus a 2x3 because my eyes, I can't draw on a 2x3 very easily. So when I do 2x3s, I usually do them off camera or at a convention, and they usually take me more time than just doing the 4x6. And that's a pretty decent Constantine right there. I'm happy with that. All right. There's Constantine. Okay. Now we'll go to Zatanna. And I'm kind of doing these in the order that I drew them. And I don't know what kind of background I'm going to put on that either. Since that's mainly earth tones, I may go with a green background on that. And the backgrounds will pretty much just be a flat color. If I'm feeling froggy, I'll do it in watercolor. Just depends. I think the watercolor will make it a pop more, but it just depends on how I'm feeling. Now for Zatanna, she's got the black hair, black gloves. And I didn't do these deep blacks because I would wind up just going over them from the after the erase. This ink would come up, and so rather than doing it twice, I erase first, and now I don't dull down the ink when I come back with the color. Excuse me, when I come back with the eraser. Now I did make a mistake already in that I should have done the color first, because it will smear the ink, because that ink's not going to dry before I finish it. So let's pause X and do the color on her real quick. And I'm going to give her a nice skin tone, like a peach. If I can find my peach. And I know it's looking me right in the face. And I like to lay down these basic colors before I get into it too much, because I'm going to probably do some fine details with the inks, build it out a little bit more, make it a little bit more jazzy. But the marker will smear the ink if the ink's not dry. Whereas the ink won't smear the marker. Plus the marker dries fairly quickly. It lasts long enough to blend because these are alcohol markers, so I can do some blending, but the ink will sit on top of it and bleed right into the paper, no problems. And I think there's only 1-2 colors because she's so much skin. And then I think her top is white, or I think it's a white top. Let me double check real quick. Yeah, it's a white top. So I'm going to go with a cool gray on that one as well. I want a very cool. Is this too cool? Yeah, it's too cool. I want a 20, I think. A 20 or 20 will work. And again, that's just so that if I want to do some highlights in white, because if I leave it white, then there's no way to go. There's nowhere to go up. It's if I leave it white, there's no way to show highlights. It's all white. And when I do the whites, plus I don't like leaving the white of the paper. I like covering it up. And then I can put the highlights on top of the marker with my white paint pen. And I just think it makes it pop more. Personal opinion, personal preference. But it gives me something to work off of versus a white. Plus, I don't want to try to work around the highlights because that's a pain in the butt. And for her hair, what I'm going to do is use that same. I'm going to give her a highlight right up front in the bangs. And then when I go over it, if I skip that area, that gives me a built-in highlight. Because I can't, actually I can't go over the black. I don't like to go over the black necessarily if I can avoid it, because that is a deeper color. And this is a heavier ink. Now I am going to leave that button, that white button, the color of the paper. So I do it every now and then, but that's mainly because I don't want to try to work around And see that it gives me some built-in highlights right there in the hair. I think the easiest one to color is going to be Dead Man. That's only 2 colors. All right, there's Zatanna. Actually, Zatanna's only 2 colors. That's 3. 2 colors plus the inks. There's Zatanna. I guess I could finish that hand. That's being lazy. We won't be lazy. We won't be lazy. And then we'll throw some peach over that hand. There we go. All right, there's our Zatanna. And I'll come up with a cool background for that. And we'll shoot on over to our man, Dead Man. White and red. Super easy. Mr. Boston. And I'm not sure what kind of background to put on this dude either. But this is like Dead Man is the type of comic that would be pretty easy to do in a script as far as costuming and posing. And I mean, he's probably harder to color when he goes into ghost mode. And the pale white of him is probably the hardest thing to do. I could go with the same gray, but I want something a little darker. Actually, I am going to add some highlights to this dude. So if I say the sun's coming in from, or the lighting is coming in from this side, I can go ahead and just start building in some highlights, because I know I'm going to come in with a darker gray. Again, it's just on the sketch cards. I normally don't do this, but just build in some some highlights automatically. I think I'll make it cool. And then I'm going to go with a darker for the rest of them. That might be too dark. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're doing pretty good on time. I don't know if we're going to make the 2 hours that we were shooting for, but we're going to be close. And yeah, that's a little bit too dark. I don't want to go that dark on him. So what is that? That was a 20. Let's go with a 30. For the head. And I think that'll be a nice compromise. So 3 shades of gray adds a little bit of volume to something, to a simple drawing like this. So I think that's a good compromise since there's not a lot of detail in him. Yeah, I can dig it. And you can see how these blend nicely together. And then we're going to go with 2 shades of red for the rest of them. We're going to have a deeper red on the inside of the collar versus the outside of the collar. So I'm going to go with a really deep red on the inside to set it off. I think that's good framing for his face without being too distracting, which is what I was going for. And we'll use, no, we're not. I was gonna say that's too red for the, and then we'll go with a little brighter for the outside. If I can find it again. Looking for a cad red. And again, it's as much as I love the Ohuhus, the tops do not represent well the color that you're looking for. So that relegates me to finding the right number on the pin top versus being able to spot it by the color. Like this is cad red, and that is not the color that is going to come out, which is fine since I know it. If I take the time, I've taken the time to organize my swatches. So now I just need to take time to organize my pins in the holder. So that I can easily find what I'm looking for when I'm looking for it. I love being able to match up the color with the number off the swatches, because just looking at that, I can go, "Ooh, that's it, what I want," and the code's right there. But then find it in a case of 300 markers, even though I have them segregated by category. So like all the reds are together, the cap just doesn't match what I'm going for. So I have to take the time and find the right number. But if I organize them properly, finding the number will be a lot easier in the future. So there's Boston, aka Dead Man. All right. And we're going to knock out Batman real quick, because that one's too easy, to be honest. It's just, I didn't plan on doing, well, no, I'll do Etrigan. I'll keep them in order. Finish up with the easy one. How about that? We know Batman's going to be easy. It's one color. Etrigan, I think, is a green tone sketch. I might be a little bit off on that. Again, I didn't think I would do all of these today, but because I was working on comic pages, I was so warmed up. It was easy to just like bang these out. Man, it's a good feeling to just knock out this many that fast. And oh no, he's not. I thought he was kind of a greenish. He's not. Let me look up my reference here. Make sure I'm doing it right. Or do I have the right reference? No, he's not a greenish at all. Huh. Okay. I would have definitely done that one wrong. So let's get started. There's not a red, so we can get rid of those. But I'm going to keep my grays out. We're going to gray out the white and the teeth. Again, it's just so if I want to come back later with a white pen for some highlights, they have something to sit on. And then we're going to go with a grayish for the metal. And I've got my C2 for the shoulder pads. right, and then we'll even, since I have them out, we'll throw a little value change on them. Just it's a little subtle, as well as up in here and in here. And then when I go over these with the color, it's going to actually have, it will blend in with those and just give me, I'll only have to use one marker basically. All right. And we're going to go with a sandy white on him. Which I think will be cool. If I can find it once again. The clay looks nice, but I don't know if that's, what colors, how deep is this clay? That might be a little bit too dark. Yeah. I forgot what I'm looking for now. I'm looking for a 280. I may have to change that up. See how I get that natural blending from the alcohol markers? I love it. Which I didn't used to do, but another friend of mine hooked me up with, hey man, try some alcohol markers. And I was like, all right. Because I was doing colored pencil, which is great, but of course it takes longer. If I was doing this in colored pencil, man, it'd be a much longer process. And putting that gray tone underneath and then just going over these markers blend, and it gives me a nice shadow without having to work too hard. And then I'm going to go with a darker cape and kind of a reddish brown chest plate. So I think this would be good for the chest plate. I guess he's more of an earth tone-ish guy as well. How we doing on time? Okay, 5 minutes over, but almost done with 6 sketches and colors. with colors, not including the background, but there's not going to be anything exciting about the background, just something to kill the white space. And if I use the watercolors, it'll take all of a few minutes to do it. And the cool thing is the marker and the pen are not water based. So just going over the background with a nice watercolor won't affect the marker or the ink. And I could probably just line them up and just bang them all out, which I'll do probably tomorrow, and have them available later on for sale. And then I want a little darker for the cape. I want like a 4 or 7. That way it'll frame the face pretty nice. Oh yeah, I like that. And I'll never know what you all see because I'm colorblind, and the contrast levels that I see are not what other people see. I'll never actually know what you all see. And there's Etrigan. And now let's finish off with bats. Which will be the easiest of them all because we're only looking at 1, maybe 2 colors. All right. So I already know the whites of the eyes. I'm going to come in with this. So let's get that out of the way. And then I'm going to come in with a, do I want the 20? Do I have the 30 out? I have the 30 out. How are we doing on time? 10 minutes over. But it's Saturday night. It's another Saturday night and I ain't got nobody. All right. So that's good there. And I want, what else do I have out already? Just different shades of gray for bats. And I'm using the markers I already had out for Etrigan. And what is this one? This is the 20. I used the 20 up there. Just use the 4. Or did I use the 2? That was the 2. Did I just use this one? That's not what I want. I want a blue-gray up here for the cape. BG5? Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, that'll work. It looks odd, but I think it's going to dry nice. And it'll be a nice separation between everything else. Oh yeah, I'm digging it. It frames it nicely. It frames it just perfectly, actually. And the more I look at it, the more I think I'm going to do the watercolor background on these. Not just for the benefit of time and material, but because I think it'll make them pop more. Normally, if I do the watercolor background, I do it first, and then I do on top. But it'll work afterwards as well. And then I got to throw something down for his face. And do I have my 210 out? I don't. And in this instance, I will leave the teeth white. Whereas I haven't done that with anybody else. For him, I'm going to give him some nice pearly whites. Boom. And there's Bats. All right, so let's recap what we done. We are about 15 minutes over our planned time, which isn't too bad. But we have finished in about 2 hours and 15 minutes our Justice League Dark, including Swamp Thing, Zatanna, Constantine, Batman, Deadman, and Etrigan. All right. So now let's see if we can get them all set up on top of each other. And get a nice photo. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. Who knows? Boom. There we go. All right. There's our Justice League Dark, all finished up and ready to go. Got a nice screenshot there. I want to thank everyone for stopping by, even if it was just for a little while to say hello or see what's going on, or just kind of see how I do my thing. I think we've got some really good sketch cards here. And when I do the watercolor background, I think they're going to look really nice. That ink and marker is going to really pop off the page because I'm going to do the watercolor as a really, really light wash. And so I think it's going to be absolutely beautiful. And I may actually do them all the same color so that the set feels cohesive, like it could go together. And thank you all. And plus that's basically how the cover of the movie is anyway. And these sketches are all based off the cover from the animated movie. So thanks a lot for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed it and appreciate the support and everything that you all do. You take care and peace out.